Hello there, everyone. This is Mr. D coming to you with the Holy Chronicles of Genesis. This is chapter 25. Before we get started, if you want to click on that little button down there that says subscribe so you can get the notice of the next one, that would be cool. What is Genesis, or the Holy Chronicles of Genesis? It's a series of videos put together by me, Mr. D, of Genesis. Very straightforward. One video, or maybe it covers one chapter, or maybe if the chapters are short, I'll have one video cover two chapters. And I do all 50 of the chapters of Genesis. So I hope that you enjoy. It's a growing experience for me. It's kind of a drive. I feel God's behind me. And I believe that when I finish with this chronicle and I head into another one, God will even bless my understanding even better. So it's God's power, and with Mr. D talking, we're going to start. Oh, and I'm going to use a book. I think it's New English kind of Standard. I'm not sure exact what they call this Bible. It says it's a NIV Revolution, the Bible for teens, but it seems to be a lot clearer than my King James. So that's what I'll be reading out. So let's get started. Chapter 25. What's chapter 25? Well, you know what? What did we end up with chapter 24? Isaac finding his new wife, Rebecca. A beautiful time. Very, very beautiful. Well, we go into chapter 25 now. In chapter 24, it says Abraham had taken another wife, and her name was Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Medan, Ishbak, and Shera. Jokshan was the father of the Sheba and Dedans. The descendants of Dedan were the Asherites and the Literites and the Limonites. The sons of Midan were Ephan, Epher, Anak, Lada, Arbida, Elda. All these were the descendants of Katara. Now remember, that's verse 1 through 4 of chapter 25. And I apologize for names, but some of these names they just they just don't come off my tongue the same. Just don't have it anymore. I don't know if I had it ever before. And we continue. Abraham left everything he owned to his son Isaac. But while he was still living, he gave gifts to the sons of his concubines and sent them away from the son Isaac to the land of the east. So the east of where they're living must have been like heading towards India or something like that, because you got to remember the Middle East is kind of like mixed with the Mediterranean. And so if you're going to go east, you're going to go towards India. Philippines, we go all the way over the land, like, China stuff, but that would be east. So, verse 7, Abraham lived 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last and died at a good old age, an old man full of years, and he was gathered to his people. Remember, he had his children. He had, was it Isaac? Didn't he have Isaac when he's 100? Something like that. That's back a couple of chapters. But getting back to the thing, says that Abraham breathed his last and died a good, healthy age. His son Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah near Mamre in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar, the Hittites. Remember that field, the field Abraham had bought from the Hittites? There, Abraham was buried with his wife, Sarah. After Abraham's death, God blessed his son Isaac, so then he lived near Bir La Ro. All these cities. I wish I knew more. But you know what? Maybe by the time I get done doing all these videos for God, it will give me that information that this gray matter might be able to store. Maybe. I don't know. So we continue on. It talks here in verse 12 about Ishmael's, his son Ishmael. And he says, this is the account of the family of Abraham's son Ishmael, whom Sarah, slave Hagar, the Egyptian, bore to Abraham. It's still Abraham's son. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael listed in order of their birth. Nebaioth, the firstborn of Ishmael, then Kedar, Adbel, Midsam, Mishma, Dama, Massa. Wow, a lot of children. Heda and Tima and Jachar and Nephish and Kerma. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these are the names of the 12 tribal rulers according to their settlements and their camps. Ishmael lived 137 years. He breathed his last and died. And he was gathered, so he was gathered to his people. His descendants settled in an area from Hava to Shur, near the eastern border of Egypt, so as to go toward the Asher, and they lived in hostility towards all the tribes related to them. That's a shame. Why they have to be hostile? Life is better when there's more peace. Look at the world today. If we weren't so hostile to all the world around us, we're always fighting, and all the local fighting, life could be a lot better. We'd be on our way to where we want to be. So it ends here. And finally, I'm going to read that last one again in verse 18. His descendants, Ishmael's, settled in an area from Havilah to Shur, near the eastern border of Egypt. As you go towards Ashur, and they lived in there we go. And they lived in hostility towards all the tribes related to them. Now that's what I thought again. Hostility. I don't know why people have to live like that. Well, that takes us in to verse 19. Someone else is coming on board. It says here, this is the account of the family line. Oh, another family line. The family line of Abraham, the son of Isaac. Abraham became the father of Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Araman from Padan Aram, and sister of Laban of Aram. Isaac prayed Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was childless. The Lord answered his prayers, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. I don't know. Sometimes as guys, we probably want to make sure the pregnancy wasn't so powerful, so we don't get so many kids. But God seems to know what He's doing. Ah, and the Lord answers prayer, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. The baby jostled each other with her, and she said, "Why is this happening to me?" So she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said to her, she couldn't figure out what all this movement probably was going on. Why is it for one baby? And the Lord answered, I think, two nations are in your womb, and two people from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the other will be a servant, will serve the younger. Wonder why God said that. When the time came for her birth, this is verse 24, the came time for her birth of her children, there were twin boys in her womb. The first to come out was red, and his whole body was like a hairy garment. So they named him Esau. After this, his brother came out with his hand grasped around Esau's heel. So he is named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when Rebekah gave birth to them. Now, 20 years after Rebekah and Isaac got together. Okay. And in verse 27, the boys grew up, and Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country, while Jacob was content to stay at home among the tent. Isaac, who had tasted of wild game, loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. You know how sometimes families, I know in my family, some of the kids were prone to my wife, and probably more prone to my wife. She was more outgoing than I was. I was always working. It's one of the downfalls of when we always work. But now I know God was there. I just understand why at that time maybe I was a little different. But the point is, children seem to tag. And in this case, one went towards the father and one went towards the mother. Okay? And it goes on. Verse 29. Once, when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished, hungry. He said to Jacob, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I am famished." That is what he was called, Edom. Jacob replied, "First, sell me your birthright." "Look, I am about to die," Esau said. "What good is my birthright to me?" But Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore the oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob. I didn't know you could do that, but I guess you can. Okay. Again, back in 33. But Jacob said, "Swear to me." And he swore the oath to him. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He ate and drank, and then got up and left. So Esau despised his birthright. Despised his birthright. Well, There was something in this chapter that they put in the Bible. This so-called, and I thought it was pretty made simpler to us understand. It says, taken from the verses of 25, which is what we're in, chapter, taken from the verses of 32 to 33, they narrated in their a more pseudo kind of understanding to commoners. And they said, always consider the long-term effects of your decision. Don't let a quick thrill or temporary pleasure ruin the rest of your life. Always think before you act. That's how a lot of us don't do that. And I think they're referring to that is the birthrights. Esau giving up his birthrights to Jacob, not thinking about what's going to happen in chapter 26. So I'm going to leave you at chapter 26 because we have no idea where we're going after we got to the end of this chapter and verse 34, when the birthrights were sold. And this book again says, then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil that he drank and ate, consummating the sale, and then got up and left. So Esau despised his birthright. Now, how can you despise your birthright? I hope to see you. This is the end of chapter 24. So if you want to come to 25 and check that out, I think I'll be there too. May God be with you. This is Mr. D. Please follow more of my Genesis Chronicles. May God be with you. Bye-bye.